Hey, what's up everybody? Jack JW coming to you. Thanks for clicking on this video. We have a whole table full of Smith and Wesson double action revolvers. This is my favorite double action revolver, period, is a Smith and Wesson. Those of you that have been around and know my channel fairly well, you know I like Colts and Rugers and all the other ones, but there is something special about a Smith and Wesson double action revolver. Those of you that know and handled one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You just got to handle one to understand that connection, and it's just how slick they are, just how really cool and historical the Smith and Wesson double action revolver is. Now for me, a lot of my purchases here were movie oriented. Some people just don't get that. The way I look at it is life is too short to be serious all the time. Gotta live, gotta laugh, and you gotta just do what makes you happy. And you know what? Guess what? Because life is so short, you better run and do not walk to that. So that's my philosophy. That's my thinking in life. Regardless of somebody else doesn't get why I would buy a revolver or a gun, period, for over a movie. You know, I'm living. I'm happy, and that's what makes me happy. So I really don't care. And you should do the same. Enjoy life to the fullest. And that's what I've done. I've got a whole table of me living life to the fullest. Alright, so first off, we want to talk about the very first Smith & Wesson revolver I ever bought, which is Smith & Wesson Model 10-5. It's a snubby 6-shot 38 revolver. One of my favorites. This is the very first one I ever bought, right here. And it remains all original. The grips, everything. Grips are a little warm. I got some videos on this on the channel, you can check it out. Now, why did I want this gun? Why did I search out for this gun? It started with me in the movie Witness with Harrison Ford. Some of you may have seen it, some of you may have not. In that movie, he carries a pretty hefty size snubby revolver, if I can probably not get this thing to stand back up. I wanted to prop these up a little bit so you can see them. Some people couldn't see them in some of the other videos we've done like this. But I want to prop them up so you can check them out a little bit better. In that movie, he's got a whopper size snubby revolver, and that certainly is. Check out the close-up videos on that thing. It always just, man, that just brought me to it. I was like, wow, look at that thing. You know, it looks like a little bulldog or something. Contacted a friend of mine, gun dealer. I said, hey, I'm looking for a Smith & Wesson 38 Special 6-shot snubby. He said, oh. I remember him saying, oh, you know, only one comes to my mind, really. He says, there's a couple others. I mean, of course, there's the Model 15 in Snub and the Model 19 in Snub. But this one, this was more or less this is exactly what I was looking for. It doesn't have an adjustable rear sight. It's pretty much just a U-notch or a trench sight and leads up to the blade or the ramp sight. Produced it, that's what he had. Yeah, he came out with one. He said, here, I found this one. This is what I got in my shop. So I bought it on the spot. I said, yep, I'll take it. Got it home, fondled it, looked at it. The more I watched that movie and looked at what I got, I knew something was up. It wasn't quite the same revolver. One of the things that I noticed was the barrel and the sight was a little bit different. Further investigation, you could say I'm Jack JW the detective, which led me to finding out what he had was a Smith & Wesson pre-Model 10. This is the model before it was a model, and it was before it was a 10. This is a vintage 1948. This has got a I guess you would say this is the blade sight. The other one there is a ramp sight. It kind of ramps up with the checkering on it. This one here is the blade sight. It's got a different hammer. It's a 5-screw model, so it's got the 4 screws on the side and then the one in the trigger guard, which definitely dates it back. It's a 6-shot K-frame. And you got the C in the prefix, so that I looked it up in the Smith & Wesson catalog. That sets it back to 1948. This is what he carried, and absolutely, I just when I got it finally, I found it on Gunbroker, my favorite place to shop for guns, not my bank account, because it usually leaves me broke. But that was it. I found it, and I'm gonna these two are really my favorite snub nose revolvers. And oddly enough, it's actually kind of hard to find a 6-shot snubby. It's more rare when you find a snub nose revolver in a gun show or a gun shop or anywhere. It's actually like, wow, it's a 6-shot. That's pretty cool. There is a couple I'm still after, and one of them definitely is the Smith & Wesson Model 19 snub. That's a really cool one. I'd like to have that one. But I do have the 4-inch barrel Model 19 right here. The 4-inch barrel, that is, it's got a lot of history to it. Bill Jordan, all that stuff. They were just looking for that. Wow, we want that revolver to do all purpose, and when it's time, and it came out, and the 357 Magnum and all that stuff. That's a really cool revolver to have. This one here, it's got. Let's talk about this one because it actually is pretty cool. I got lucky and just being the first one to see this when it came into my friend's shop. Being the first one to see it, I bought it on the spot. It's got a wide trigger and wide hammer, serrated on the trigger and checkered on the hammer. This one here is a pinned and recessed model. And what that means is they put a cross pin through the barrel and they countersunk the cylinder. So when you put a round in there, it sits flush. It actually does not have the rim of the case protruding out. So actually when you look at it straight on at the profile between the cylinder and the frame, you're not going to really see the brass. It's actually harder to see it. You can still see it if certain angles of it, but it's harder to see it. It dresses the gun up quite nice. One thing you will notice about the pinned and recessed models, now I could take this Model 19 and a Model 19 right next to it that's not a pinned and recessed, and a cylinder will actually be a little bit shorter. So the cylinder on these are a little bit, just a tad longer, because they recessed them into the whole round right into the cylinders. That's kind of an interesting look at it. So this one's got this is a K-frame as well, same size as that Model 10. This has got a square butt, a bigger square butt, bigger grips. These are and these have a square butt too. I'm sorry, but this gun is just a lot more beefier looking because of the barrel. It's got a heavier barrel to it and everything. Cool gun. Also, Danny Glover's character carried this in Lethal Weapon. That's kind of, I guess the Beretta really stole the show in that one, because not a lot of people realize that he's carrying a Smith and Wesson Model 19. Really classic revolver. It's one to definitely have if you're into the 357. Of course, there's the 586 and 686, which are absolutely great pistols, or great revolvers, pistol revolver. I like those a lot. They kind of emulate the Python, the Colt Python a little bit. I like the look of it. It just has everything but the ventilated rib on the top, and maybe they couldn't do that because Colt had a hand in that and all that. So, alright, so moving on over here, so still kind of sticking with the K-frame, I got a Model 15. This is a nice old Model 15. The bluing is just really beautiful on it. This is my dad's gun. This is just kind of one I'm going to hang on to for sure. This one here with the grips he put on it. Now these are Smith and Wesson grips, but he had taken off the standard panel grips that were more like what's on this Model 10 and put the bigger grips on there. And this is the holster he had. This is a Safariland. So this is the holster he had and with this gun. And when I got into guns, he kind of said, well, since you're into it now, here, so he kind of passed this on to me. I like the gun. It's a smooth shooter. It absolutely, and it's, ironically, we almost thought we needed a bigger table here for this because it couldn't fit everything out. I got a couple shoulder holsters and stuff there. But speaking of a bigger table, and we might say we need a bigger boat, because this is what Roy Scheider's character carries. This is his in Jaws. This is what he has, a Model 15. So, I did not, obviously there's no real connection for me in that other than my father, that's his gun, but it happened to be the one that Roy Scheider carries in Jaws. Roy Scheider is one of my favorite underrated actors of the 70s. I just think, man, he just really didn't get the credit he deserved because he did some really great movies. And everybody kind of just remembers him for Jaws. I kind of look at it, it's like, well, what about the 7-Ups? What about The Sorcerer? Still of the Night? And a little bit later in his career, The Night Game. That was a really cool movie, I thought. A nice little detective type movie. Alright, so speaking of cops and stuff, Dirty Harry. How can we not talk about the Smith & Wesson double action revolver and not mention Dirty Harry? Because that movie is a game changer for Smith & Wesson's Model 29. 1955, it was not actually designated as the Model 29 yet, but Elmer Keith was really instrumental in getting it done, getting Remington to build the cartridge and Smith and Wesson to build the gun. Elmer Keith was kind of infamous for loading up 44 Special, which is the round that existed before this, and loading them up pretty hot, and he probably blew up some guns. But Smith was a little concerned with, or the Remington was a little concerned with, well, if we made a hotter 44 Special, what if somebody put it in their old gun and blew themselves up? Lengthen the cartridge so it wouldn't fit in those, and of course you can pack more powder in there. And Smith and Wesson came out with the end frame, or not, it was already existing, the end frame, but the Model 29. Well, later came out to be the Model 29. And yes, it kind of was it didn't last very long. It didn't do as well on the market until Clint Eastwood decided to make a movie, star in a movie called Dirty Harry. That movie really was a game changer. That movie ramped up the want and the scramble to get a Model 29. It's cool to see other YouTubers that actually were around back then and were trying to find one or search out for one, and the stories that they share about prices going up, about how difficult it was. It made some people just not like the movie at all because of that. But I thought it was really cool. Being into that and wanting this gun, I mean, it is a big revolver. It certainly is. And for me, if it wasn't for that movie, there would be no reason I would want it. But I'm glad it was, because aside from Dirty Harry, this revolver is an excellent, excellent revolver. It shoots just, it's like a dream. I usually shoot 44 Special out of it. And it's a smooth shooting gun with 44 Special. And that's the beauty of having it in 44 Magnum, or the 44 Magnum cartridge, or a 357 Magnum revolver. The beauty of shooting two different cartridges. If I want power, throw in the 44 Magnum. If I want to just go to the range and have just a plinking day, shoot a fistful of rounds, 44 Special. Absolutely. You can shoot it all day long. Doesn't batter up the gun as much. And actually, when this gun came to me, when I bought it, it was a little loose. I actually had to redo the lockup on it. I'm not a gunsmith, but I knew enough to be dangerous to get in there and to replace some parts and springs and things to make it lock up tight again. And it does. It's really, I brought this sucker back to life in a sense. Alright, so still traveling with the Model 29 right on over. Well, Taxi Driver comes out in '76, and that's directed by Martin Scorsese, and Robert De Niro starring in it. Brings out the 8 3/8. The Model 29 and 8 3/8 is a beast of a gun. I think this is about as beastly as it gets. Unless you're talking about the X frame, the 500 Magnum, but this is just something cool, slick, beautiful about it. Absolutely just looks gorgeous. The strange thing is that the cover of the last Dirty Harry film, the Deadpool, Dirty Harry and the Deadpool, if you look at the cover, there's a silhouette or a look of, I think it's like the side of Clint Eastwood's face, and the revolver is right next to him. This is the revolver pictured, the 8 3/8. It's got a heck of a long barrel. You can see it right away. You can definitely say, man, that is a heck of a barrel. But Travis Bickle's character, played by Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver, absolutely made me want one of those. Martin Scorsese does this great shot where they pan the revolver when he opens up the briefcase, and there it is, because he's asking him for 44 Magnum. It is a beast of a gun. Beautiful, and I'm glad I got into the 29s, because this one, absolutely, for long distance shooting, is spot on. Iron sights, no scope mount, no nothing, just spot on. This thing is, I'm dropping bowling pins at a fairly long distance. I yet to do a video. I should do a video with that. The grips on these actually are from Thailand. If you saw the video on the channel about Smith and Wesson vintage grips and all that, these are grips from Thailand. I bought them from eBay. They were like $35 or something. Free shipping. They did come all the way from Thailand, but beautiful wood. Beautiful, nice little blonde streak going through the center right there where the in the front the front strap. And the checkering is spot on with the big diamond and everything on it. Did a really good job at them. I just, because the vintage grips are getting really expensive now. The grips like that are on this gun right here, I mean, these are $100 or probably more now if you search on eBay or whatnot. Alright, last but not least, the most modern one I got, and this is one that I've owned. This is the first Smith and Wesson double action revolver I bought that's brand new. All the other ones I bought were used. This is brand new. This is a 629 Snubby. It's got a 3-inch barrel. It's a 44 Magnum. Okay, this is a round butt, and versus these are the square. This is the round butt, so it's got a little bit more of a boot-like grip, I guess, on it. This is a shorter grip. They even make some that are a little bit shorter. It does protrude a little bit past the frame there, but 6-shot. This is a beast. I love this gun because it does shoot really well for a snubby. It does shoot very well for a snubby. It is the modern style one, so it's got the key lock and it's got the frame mounted firing pin, which ironically everybody talks about the frame mounted firing pin and all, but if you actually look at the Colt Python, the Python came out in 55 as well, 1955. It has always had a frame mounted firing pin, and if you look up in Wikipedia, there is people say that the Python was the greatest double action revolver ever made, a Cadillac of all revolvers and things like that. So it's like, okay, but so Smith and Wesson changed from the hammer mounted firing pins. You can see, let's take this model 19. The firing pin is on the hammer. So this one is not. It's on the frame. Nice revolver, absolutely beautiful. Do not regret buying this whatsoever. This is a great revolver. Searched a long time for this one, and what made me kind of like it is ironically Tales from the Crypt. I don't know if a lot of you remember that. Tales from the Crypt, I think it was season 2. There's an episode called Cutting Cards, and these two guys are going at it. They're like the 2 best poker players in the world or something like that. They're getting crazy with each other, and a guy says, he goes, I got a way to sell this Russian roulette. He goes, you want to go, me and you and a gun and all? So he goes, I got a 44 in the glove compartment of my car. Goes out there, pulls out this gun from his glove compartment, and pulls this beefcake of a gun out, and his eyes, like, you know, it's just a movie, but oh man, I thought that is just silly. I can't believe that actually exists. So I set off on my search to find one, and I found one, and I tell you, this is the coolest, beefiest snub-nose revolver of them all. This is absolutely the granddaddy when it comes to snub-nose revolvers, because this is a handful. And I know I got a lot of slack for the very first video I had done with it, because the grips actually were protruding past the frame right here, and it would actually stick out. I didn't realize that until I started shooting it, and it actually broke my hand open on the webbing of my hand. It did some damage to me, enough to be, it was a little painful, and didn't want to shoot it no more. I didn't like that at all. So I did a little video on it, and everybody was, put that thing back in your brain. You know, that was the most hated video, but I don't care. But anyway, since then I took some sandpaper and I shaved it down a little, took the grips off obviously and did it, shaved the grips down and buffed it out and re-lacquered it and everything, and you can't even tell it's been altered, but now it makes the gun absolutely shootable. Even with the 44 Magnums, this Bulldog really does bark with the 44 Magnums, but I shoot a lot more 44 Special in it because it's more comfortable to shoot. And I mean I have cranked those up a little bit just to, you know, give it a little bit more punch. But anyway, that's it. That's my love of the double action revolvers. But before we get out of here, I want to talk about a couple shoulder holsters. Being left-handed does not make it easy when you want to be Dirty Harry. So for the 8 3/8, I bought this one here. This is a Bianchi X15 extra large shoulder holster for a left-hander. I found this on Midway, and it was on clearance. I think it was less than $100, so I had to buy it. Definitely wanted it. I know it's not the original Dirty Harry holster. I think those, you can still buy those. They're like 300 and something bucks. You gotta wait. They gotta custom make it and everything. But no. But if you watch actually Sudden Impact, when he's on the range, he's shooting and he busts out that auto mag. He has a shoulder holster just like this. He's not using that one he used in the first 2 movies. I don't know. I think the Enforcer, he may have had this same one. I'm not sure. I gotta go back and watch it. But there it is, the 8 3/8 shoulder holster for a lefty. I'm left-handed, makes it harder to find holsters like that. And last but not least, a shoulder holster for my Model 29 6-inch. This was gifted to me from fellow YouTuber Trees A Blowin'. Really cool. Out of the blue, he sent this to me. Really appreciate it. I checked it out, put it in there, and I got to do a video on this thing. So, because that's really cool. So, Trees A Blowin', thank you very much for this. I really appreciate it, and I'm really, I feel blessed to be part of this YouTube community that we got going on here. A lot of good people. I wish I would have done this YouTube thing a long time ago, but I'm glad I'm doing it now and to be part of the community. And I've met a lot of awesome people through it. So thanks for watching, you guys. Bat Jack JW. That's my love for Smith and Wesson double action revolvers. Like I said, it doesn't take much to get me to start talking about this stuff. Thanks for watching.